I grew up in the Boston area, but went to a YMCA summer camp in New Hampshire from the time I was 8. Once I was 16, I was old enough to be a counselor in training CIT. The rite of passage for the CITs was to hike Mount Washington together, the tallest peak in the White Mountains. Mount Washington is known for having the worst weather on Earth, and over 100 hikers have died trying to summit. We hiked the first day and stopped at a cabin near the summit overnight. All of the CITs slept on the floor of the cabin in sleeping bags. I had trouble falling asleep for some reason. After an hour or so, I started to hear what I thought was my fellow CITs talking in their sleep. At first it was just occasional grunting. Gradually it intensified and did not sound at all like my friends' voices. The voices were guttural, almost demonic. They were wailing, crying out for help, clearly in distress. The voices would occur every few minutes, intensify to many voices at once, and then slow down again. This happened for the entire night. I'm still not sure if they were coming from my friends' bodies or elsewhere in the room. They were all around me, but so were my sleeping friends, so I'm not sure. I never saw anyone speak. This was 2005, and I had no cell phone with me or way to document it. I woke up the person next to me at one point during the night because I wanted someone to witness it. But when he asked me why I was waking him up and I started to explain, there are strange voices everywhere, I realized how crazy I sounded and told him never mind, go back to bed. The whole night I laid there listening to the voices cry for help. At dawn, I was still laying there wide awake. As the sun came up, I saw handprints on the outside of the window in the morning dew. I was almost relieved to see this because I thought it meant I wasn't crazy, and that if I told my friends what happened when they woke up and they saw the handprints, they might believe me. But the dewdrops washed away the handprints by the time others woke. I never told them. I just hiked to the summit, went back to camp, and didn't tell anyone the story for several years. At first, I didn't want to tell anyone because I didn't think they would ever believe me. As an adult, I now frequently tell the story when the topic of ghosts comes up. About 6 months ago, I told the story to a few people over drinks at the bar. A few minutes later, one of them showed me a photo of a cabin. He asked, was this the cabin? Somehow I never thought to look up the cabin on the internet. I didn't know the name of it or where on Mount Washington it was. Also, when this happened in 2005, the main search engine was Ask Jeeves, which was entirely useless. I never thought I would be able to find it without knowing the name. Turns out, there are not many cabins on Mount Washington, and really only one that comes up when you Google Haunted Cabin Mount Washington. I recognized the cabin in the photo and said, yeah. I think so, why? He scrolled to the top of the article, and it was titled, Spend the Night in New Hampshire's Most Haunted Cabin for a Truly Terrifying Experience. I did a deep dive of my old camp's Facebook page and confirmed this is indeed the cabin that the CITs stay in every year. According to the article and many other sources I've since found, the shelter was built in 1901 on the site of where 2 hikers died of hypothermia while trying to summit. It was an especially treacherous part of the climb, and they thought that a shelter would help to avoid more deaths. Since then, more hikers have still died in the area, and the cabin, called Lake of the Clouds, got a reputation for being haunted as early as the 1930s. People have reported seeing crowds of ghoulish faces in the windows, having invisible hands push them, etc. It is said to be haunted by something called the presence, which is the collective spirits of those who died on the mountain and are stuck there. The presence seems to be an entity that is tied to the mountain itself rather than the hut. Even in the 1800s, there are reports of being haunted by the presence on trails. Knowing now that this is an experience that others have also had makes it impossible for me to not believe it. I don't understand how it's possible, but I definitely know that spirits were speaking to me and asking me for help. It almost makes me want to go back and stay at the hut again to see what they want. I don't think I'll take that gamble though.